Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Nwankolo. What is the implication of postponing Mali's election date, and are the reasons that have been given valid, do you believe?
Thank you, Anna. Thank you for having me. I think the implications are very diverse. What comes to my mind quickly is that this will kind of give hope to other African countries where their military are looking at a route to power, which is trying to take over power. So this might give them, a route that this can happen as well. Secondly, what could happen again is that this could be another exit path for the other countries where military have taken over power and they are being asked to return power to civilian rule almost immediately. So if Mali, which where the military took over power some few years back, we are not able to organize an election when they said they will. So why would Niger or Burkina Faso, Guinea or Gabon do the same thing? So this is what might likely happen. Thirdly, I think this might create other division in organizations like ECOWAS, where you have 3-4 countries already under military rule and is affecting all the principles and values of ECOWAS, as well as the African Union. Is a big implication for this sub-regional and regional organization. Fourthly, and I think another big implication is this will give confidence to private military companies like Wagner, who already there are other Russian companies like FACO who are looking for a route into Africa to start doing what Wagner is doing. So with such postponement, it means that they can say, okay, we have more time to come in and do what we want to do. And I know that what will happen again, which is another implication, is that the international community, especially ECOWAS, might try to up the economic sanctions that they have against Mali, which, of course, for someone like me, it will go a long way in affecting the people, but not the military regime in authority. So I think there are diverse implications around this.
So Ndu, I was going to ask you about that, which is about the international community and whether they still have a role to play in Mali's return to democracy and political instability, especially because we have seen that these countries have been very adamant in the route that they've taken, despite the pressure that they've been receiving from the international community.
And I need to be very clear here, and that is why someone like me, in as much as we understand that democracy may not necessarily be the best form of governance, but it's still the best among the others. What has happened is that the international community have not really been fair when it comes to military takeover of power in Africa. When it happened in Chad, they thought it was good for them. They didn't put much pressure on that coup in Chad for them to return power. It happened in Zimbabwe when power was taken over from Mugabe. They supported it. So now it's happening in other African countries. So I think that's why, if you look at this case, issue of morality is being questioned here. So you play in another country, you support it. In this one, you will not. But from an African view, I don't think military regime is all that we need. So what the international community need to start doing is to use a carrot and stick approach. Carrot in the sense that they continue to negotiate, they continue to find diplomatic way of getting the military out. And then in terms of stick, they need to tighten up the economic sanctions against the government to see if we can cripple them. However, they will always cite the issue of jihadist terrorism going on around the Sahel and the neighborhood, which is part of why they came to power. So it's quite dicey, but the issue remains that for international community to do anything, there must be sincerity of purpose to drive them out.
So something else that we have seen, and it continues now, is that what we've seen with these military coups in these countries, there's this international concern that this could spread to the wider region. How likely is it, Ndu, that other countries in West Africa that have experienced military takeovers could follow Mali's example, and what risk does this present to the wider region?
And I think we have a neighborhood effect here, which is obviously sickening and obviously troubling for everyone. Now, if you look at Burkina Faso, you look at Mali, you look at Niger, you look at Chad, they are all they are all under military regime. Now, Gabon, we're not talking about Guinea, and we had the rumor of Central African, Central Democratic Republic of Congo, or rather, Congo Brazzaville. So these are issues that we need to start sitting and start talking. However, I think the most important thing here is that militarism, which is what we are experiencing in some countries in Africa, have the military institutions in this country taking over power. But the issue remains that the political class are I give part 95% of the cost of these things to them. They have really narrowed the gap between democratic governance and militarism, which means that even you as an African or as a citizen, you're asking yourself in most democratic African countries, am I living under military regime or am I living under democratic governance? Until our African political elite and political leaders begin to bring in those values of democracy that will make the test of military regime unattractive to any African, then we'll start having a solution to this African takeover of power by military. Because you find out that when most of these things happen, people come out on the street to either rejoice supporting military regime or military takeover. Why? Because the political class have continued to fail. However, this is not to support that we should be under any military regime. No, not at all. But the most important thing is that for the only antidote to stopping military takeover in most African countries is for democratic values to be restored. Situation where our leaders day by day are changing the constitution. You've run for two terms, you go change the constitution to run for another term, you to go change the constitution to be an endless leader, will continue to bring military back to power. And I think we need to start looking at it. Or situation where as a democratic elected president or government, you've actually run out all opposition. You're the only one that want to continue to stay in power. You think you're the only one that knows everything. Will continue to bring this issue to us. We need to start dealing with it. And I think this is where African Union and all those sub-regional organizations have to come and start stamping authorities. You can't, when it happens in one country, you criticize. When it happens in another, you keep quiet. So I think we need to start dealing with that.